Hi everyone, this is Susanna, certified nurse midwife and owner of the Villagers Women's page. What do I do as a midwife? I take care of women and help babies out. So today I wanted to come on video to talk about early pregnancy and what to expect, and also what to do when you first find out you're pregnant. So let's get started. So you've planned your pregnancy and all is well. The sperm and the egg have met, and now you've formed what we call a zygote. The zygote goes on and differentiates and breaks down into multiple cells and forms what we call a blastocyst. And then the blastocyst starts to signal your body to produce a hormone called the human gonadotropin hormone, which is also called HCG. And the HCG in turn signals your ovaries to start producing more eggs, and then because of that, your body would get the signal to produce more hormones, more progesterone and estrogen, which helps to maintain your pregnancy. So I am going into detail, maybe not too much detail, but just to get a background of how pregnancy is formed, because then that would give us a foundation for and knowledge of the symptoms you feel during the early phase of pregnancy or during the first trimester. So HCG, the pregnancy hormone or HCG, is being released by your body, and your progesterone levels have increased, your estrogen levels have also increased. That would signal your body to stop menstruating, so that's why you miss your period. And usually at this time is when people go in to get a pregnancy test or check your pregnancy test at home. Ideally, you want to get a quick pregnancy test at home, and then start to look into options for provider for prenatal care. So backtrack a little. So when the blastocyst is formed, your body's signaling you are usually around week 3 or so. Then there are some, when the blastocyst is attached to the uterine wall, there are some women that would experience what we call an implantation bleed at this time, around week 3 to week 4. Sometimes this bleed, which is usually just a spotting, a light pink, just a very light spotting that will seem abnormal for you. Most women tend to seek care around this time because the spotting is just not typical or not usual for them. So the HCG, or the pregnancy hormone, that's formed that starts to increase around week 3 or so, and as well as the progesterone are the main, and also estrogen are the hormones that actually cause all of, or most if not all of, your pregnancy symptoms that you feel in early pregnancy. So the bloating, the breast tenderness, the fatigue, nausea and vomiting, just not feeling well. HCG, we get excited. We as OB providers get excited when you come in and say, oh, I don't feel well, I'm vomiting. We know that, yeah, it's more than likely a good healthy pregnancy, because your HCG level, that's a signal to us that your HCG levels are actually rising, with everything else being equal. That is, if you don't have any other medical issues that could be contributing to your symptoms. So yeah, that's actually a good thing. So moving on, week 4, the nervous system starts to form. Baby's brain, baby's nervous system, baby's eyes start to develop. This is the time where DHA, which hopefully you've already started taking prior to achieving pregnancy or prior to planning pregnancy, this is the time that DHA is helpful. DHA, again, is a healthy fatty acid that is found in fish oil, and it's been shown and proven, it's been proven by evidence to help with baby's brain, baby's eyes, and baby's nervous system development. It's also helpful for your heart health as well. So there's several benefits of having DHA in your system around this time. Again, around week 4. It's usually when the nervous system, baby's nervous system, is being formed, the baby's brain is being developed, and the baby, as well as the baby's eyes. It is also a good time to have folic acid supplements as well in your system, because folic acid has been shown to prevent neural tube defect or spinal bifida in the baby. So around week 4, most people do not know when they're pregnant, especially around that early phase of pregnancy, around the 4th week of pregnancy. So ideally you want to start supplementing with DHA and folic acid prior to planning pregnancy. So around week 4 also, baby is about half an inch long, so very tiny. The heart is developing as well. You may have a heartbeat, but it's not going to be visible by ultrasound. So when you come into the office that very early in pregnancy, we definitely won't be able to see your heartbeat. We are able to determine fetal heart or baby's heartbeat, fetal heart activity, usually at around week 6 to 7. I should say the embryo, because the embryo, baby is called embryo until about 8 weeks. Baby, or the zygote, is called an embryo until at least 8 weeks, between 8 to 10 weeks. At 8 weeks is when we call the baby a fetus. So at 8 weeks, which is the 2nd month of your pregnancy, the baby's brain is formed, the heart is formed, the heart is beating at a normal pace. At that time, we should be able to clearly see the heartbeat, the heart activity by ultrasound. Ideally, you want to get your first ultrasound around this time as well, between 6 to 8 weeks. Again, between 6 to 8 weeks depends on your provider, depends on where you go for prenatal care. In my facility, we do early ultrasound around 7 to 8 weeks or so. So, how do you select a provider, especially as a Black mama? We all are aware of the statistics facing our moms out there, the poor pregnancy outcomes that we as Black women face. So it's very important. This is a very vital time for you to sit and do your research. How do you select the best prenatal provider for you? Asking around by word of mouth. Word of mouth, I think, is the most efficient and the best way to select a prenatal provider for you, whether it's an OB or a midwife. There's actually an app that's coming up. I don't think it's available yet, because I did try to download it myself, and it won't allow me to download. It's just not available yet. But I'm so excited for this app. So this app, which is called Earth, so it's birth without the B, is coming up soon. I don't think it's available in the app stores yet, because I tried to download it myself and I couldn't download it, but I'm excited for it. I can't wait for it. So anyway, the app is being created by a Black journalist who unfortunately experienced some negative issues. Not necessarily, I don't think it was a negative outcome, but she was unsatisfied with her care, the way she was treated at a well-renowned hospital in a large city. In efforts to help alleviate or improve our healthcare, Black maternal healthcare, she has come up with this app it's similar, from what I've read so far, it's similar to Yelp. So the purpose of the app is to gather reviews of prenatal providers in every state, so people can easily go in and plug in your zip code, and you will be able to find providers based on their ratings and so on. So back to selecting a provider. Hopefully that app would be helpful to be beneficial in helping our Black moms narrowing down and finding the right fit provider for them. So speaking of a right fit provider, a right fit provider doesn't necessarily mean someone who is Black like you. They don't necessarily have to be a Black person just like you. They just have to be very attentive and very aware of your lived experience and your social and cultural norms. This person has to be very empathetic. This person has to be an open-minded person. So what I would recommend to you as my Black mamas is, from the first day, even before going into a prenatal care, do your research Ask around, ask your friends who've had experience with these providers. Start from the hospital where they do deliveries. If you do choose to have a baby, your baby in a hospital, go back to the hospital where they do their deliveries. Do research on the hospital. Ask around. There are some things that are online that may not be true. That's why I stress on asking people by word of mouth. It's also a good idea to go online and do your research, but again, there are some statistics that are not real online. So yeah, do your own background check. Make sure you visit the facility. You don't have to be pregnant to get a tour of a facility that you're looking at delivering at. You can always go in at any time to take a tour of the unit and get a feel of the surrounding. See if if it's a comfortable environment for you. See if they're culturally sensitive to your needs. See if they have any if they are aware of this black maternal crisis going on in the United States. And it's not a bad thing to ask questions. Ask questions. Be direct with your questions. Whatever your fears are, you need to relay it at this point to your provider. So at the first prenatal visit, expect to talk about confirming your pregnancy, whether through ultrasound. The best way to confirm your pregnancy is through ultrasound. So it also depends on how far along you are. If you're still if you're still pretty early in the pregnancy, your provider will most likely order an ultrasound. There's some places that will actually do a quick ultrasound. Again, depends on how far along you are. If you're by 8 weeks or so, we should be able to see the baby in the uterus at that time. If you are further along than that, maybe about 11 to 12 weeks, we use a Doppler to hear the baby's heartbeat. So yeah, expect to confirm pregnancy at that visit. Also expect to discuss genetic testings. Depends on your ethnic background. Expect to talk about nutrition in pregnancy. Nutrition in pregnancy in the first trimester, it depends on how you feel. May not be an important subject at that time, may not be a priority. It's usually in the second trimester when you start to become more energetic and you're not sick, you're not vomiting and so on. That's when that's when we stress nutrition. So yeah, talk about genetic screening. You confirm pregnancy, talk about genetic screening, nutrition in pregnancy, get your questions answered. You want to come with a list of questions. Even if you think it's a silly question, it might make a difference in your care in the future. So please discuss it, write things down. If you think you'll forget before coming to your first visit, write it down. If it doesn't seem like an appropriate question to you, or if it doesn't make sense to you, still write it down and ask questions. I would also recommend that you come in with a partner or someone, a support person at the first prenatal visit, because there are some things that they might have questions about that you would not necessarily know to ask. So yeah, you need to come in with a partner, come in with a support person. Whatever questions or whatever fears that are going through your mind, I highly suggest that you communicate that with your provider. Once you've selected that person from the first visit, communicate that with your provider, because then that will set a tone. It will set a basis for which your prenatal care will go from then on. Their reaction, their response to you will set that tone for you. Well, I think I'm done with what I want to say on this video. I will be back with more of first trimester. I want to come back to talk about first trimester discomforts and comfort measures that you could put in place while you are home. See you next time. Bye.